Hello everyone, this is Dr. Alex Avila with Love University, and we're back. We're actually live at the Los Angeles Fair, LA Times at the USC. And I have a very special guest today with us. This is Stacey Simmons, who does a very interesting thing. She is a psychotherapist, licensed therapist, certified in psychedelic-assisted therapy, whose work sits at the intersection of neuroscience, women's narrative psychology, and plant medicine research. She is the author of The Queen's Path and Mushroom Pharmacy. Welcome to the show, Stacey. It's good to see you.
Thank you so very
Now,
much.
you got some fascinating books here.
Thank you.
And we were talking about this beforehand. It was just raining a lot, so now the sun is finally up.
Yep.
So we're very excited. Now, you talk about psilocybin,
Yes.
which is, I believe, a component of mushrooms.
Yep.
That is has certain properties that can be beneficial, and people use it a certain way. So tell me a little bit about your therapy. How do you work with that?
So we, in my practice, we do psychedelic therapy. Mostly in California, we are only legally able to do psychedelic therapy with ketamine, but we use psilocybin when we do retreats out of the country. So we'll go to Mexico or Costa Rica and do
I heard
retreats
that Peru.
with
I have a
psilocybin.
friend that knows about Peru. Is that a legal country for that?
I believe so. Peru's a little harder. They ayahuasca is allowed in
Ayahuasca,
Peru,
yes.
but psilocybin in Peru is still a little bit iffy. You have to be working with a native person, and even then, they don't always get permission from the government. So.
Right, because we were talking earlier, we were throwing some words around. People may not know the words. For example, psychedelic, dissociative, hallucinogens. Can you describe each of those, what they mean?
Sure. So when we talk about hallucinogens, a lot of people use that word because psychedelics tend to be associated with hallucinations, people having visual hallucinations, but not all psychedelic medicines actually create hallucinations for people. It depends on where you're hitting the brain with those serotonin-inducing neurotransmitters. So we kind of shy away from the word hallucinogen because not all psychedelics produce hallucinations, and it gives the wrong impression. We don't want to frighten people, right? And then in terms of dissociative, a lot of psychedelics actually have more dissociative properties, but the ketamine experience, which is one that's legal here in California, it's legal in all 50 states, is a dissociative medicine. And
We say, Stacey, dissociative, for those of our listeners that don't understand that, what does that mean?
It means in the medicine experience when somebody's under that. So ketamine is also used in surgery. So it's one of the anesthesia components. But it means that you feel like you're out of your body. You're not connected to your body.
Okay.
And that medicine in particular, ketamine, doesn't have the same kind of hallucinogenic properties. Most people don't have visual images that come. But they do have this feeling of being separate and being out of their body and kind of floating through space. And sometimes people are like, do I have hands? Like, are they still here?
That could be a little scary, possibly, right? I mean,
definitely.
And you're with them as the therapist.
Yes.
Are you able to calm them down if they need to be? Or?
Absolutely. So we do it in advance. We say, if you start to feel anxious, do you mind if I touch you or, put my hand on your arm and reassure you? And most people say yes. But yeah, we're there so that they're not afraid. Because it can be, I don't know if you ever heard of people talk about ego death or ego dissolution in psychedelics, but that's, that loss of the structure of who you think you are, right, versus who we really are. That could be very frightening for people.
Well, they're going to have a death experience, like maybe a rehearsal for your own death.
I hadn't thought about it like that.
There's some study, I think, that people who use psilocybin have less death anxiety.
That's correct.
Because you're out of body, right? So basically you're losing your body temporarily. But when you die, you lose your body permanently.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that has an effect in that way. Let's say you're afraid of death. Can you see your death as you come back from it?
That's a really interesting way of thinking about it. I haven't heard people talk about it from that precise perspective, but similar to that, people talk about feeling like they are one with everything when they have the psilocybin experience. Especially the people who are using it for death anxiety, they come back with a knowing that their body and their physical being is not all that they are. And that's the thing that gives them that peace of mind. Yeah.
Yeah, because as humans, we believe our body is kind of everything, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, we think a lot, which we don't realize we're thinking. We call it the monkey mind in the East, chattering thoughts, right?
Yep.
But then at some point, we realize we don't have that anymore. Maybe when it comes to either death or, in this case, maybe we use these chemicals.
Right.
But you said you don't really use psilocybin is not legal in California,
Not
but I think in Oregon, a couple states,
In Oregon and Colorado, it's legal.
with the therapy assisted.
Exactly, therapy assisted,
Uh-huh.
not just for,
So how does the mushroom
recreational
come
use.
in? Are you saying the theoretical, or are you saying other countries you can do this?
There are some other countries that allow it. Switzerland's actually experimenting with it from a therapeutic perspective right now. But yeah, I mean, I actually think it's going to be legal pretty soon. There's so much research that's being done on psilocybin. It has such amazing effects on people for treatment-resistant depression, for phantom limb pain, for chronic pain, like people who have real terrible neurological pain. They're using it for Parkinson's research. So there's all kinds of research areas that are just, amazing possibilities because of the way that psilocybin can remap the brain, create functional connections. It's pretty incredible.
But ketamine, though, is it different or similar than that?
Ketamine's very different. It works on a whole different neurotransmitter system. So psilocybin works on the serotonin neurotransmitter system, and ketamine works on the glutamate GABA system. So
You're talking like a shrink now.
Sorry,
all these
I get all
chemical-
neuroscience nerdy. I love it.
It's kind of cool. So pleasure chemicals and all that a little bit in some of these areas. But the interesting thing about it, also, I heard that people on psilocybin reduce smoking. They heard up to 80% quit compared to maybe 15 to 30% normally. So impulse control maybe, or maybe anxiety could be other factors. Now, of course, people always wonder, when you use external chemicals, are there some drawbacks or even dangers? I know there's microdosing, which is a little bit of it at the time.
Yep.
So what's your take on any drawbacks? Because I think we're talking about schizophrenia, which they already have hallucinations, right?
Right.
You don't want to trigger more.
That's right.
So tell me some of the caveats here.
So with any any kind of drug that's going to create that possibility for hallucinations, we don't want to encourage that. So people who are contraindicated from using any kind of psychedelics are people who suffer from schizophrenia, people with borderline personality disorder, people who have psychosis with bipolar 1 or bipolar 2.
Okay.
So anything where psychosis is a risk, we're not going to do that.
How about just someone who's kind of anxious or maybe fearful? Because I know that marijuana can sometimes create a paranoia,
Right.
even hallucinations a little bit, So what's your take on that? Do you have to screen people, or is it?
We definitely screen everybody. Yeah, we definitely screen everybody. And there are other medical complications too. Like psilocybin is a serotonin agonist, which means that it works in the same way, which is why microdosing works, by the way. It works in the same way as some of our medications that we take, like Prozac and stuff. And because of that, if you take too much or you take it with a medicine, you can mess up and give yourself serotonin syndrome.
Right.
So we want to be really
so
careful with
agonist meaning
that.
it increases serotonin. Isn't that great if it's a happy feeling or not?
It can be, but if you take too much, or if you're taking a medicine that like a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, then what happens is you wind up giving your system too much serotonin, and it will decrease how much it produces, and then you wind up having a sharp decline, and you can have massive depression afterwards.
Okay.
So we don't want that for people.
Is it possible that it can change your brain chemistry so you no longer take joy in sunsets and natural occurrences and need to rely on the chemical to get to the happy feeling?
Not from psilocybin. So
How about for other drugs?
for
crack or whatever. Or even,
for sure, yeah.
Or what's the other? Meth.
For sure, because the systems that they're working on actually really need a lot of dopamine, and whenever you're reaching for dopamine in any kind of system, whether it's a chemical addiction or it's a behavioral addiction,
Right.
dopamine's the problem, not the thing itself, right? So so dopamine is short-lived, and it creates a need for more. So anything that's got dopamine component is going to create problems.
So in a so-called addiction, because you want more of it because you feel good,
Right.
And then you crash from that too.
Exactly, but psilocybin doesn't do that, because psilocybin doesn't work on the dopamine channel.
Someone said they use it once a year. Is it? You don't really use it that much?
You don't have to.
Because for the insight, you're talking about some kind of insight or some kind of realization.
Insight, realization, the sense of oneness, and Gestalt's a good word. And the part of that is, the other thing that happens is the research is showing us that when you take a medicine like psilocybin, what you get is the default mode network in your brain turns off, so all that rumination stops, and it creates, because you're flooded with all these other neurotransmitters, you wind up having greater opportunity for connection across neural networks. So you have less rumination, more connection, and it creates also some neuroplasticity just in structural forms. People get neurogenesis from taking psilocybin just one time.
Now, have you had some good experiences yourself? Do you use this stuff?
I don't use it as often as you might think as a researcher, right? Like, but I have had good experiences, yeah.
All right, 'cause I had one guy on my show, he had a doctorate in psilocybin research.
Oh, fantastic.
And he does all that stuff, So he's talking, he had this amazing experience when he was younger. He felt, like he connected to the world, at some concert. And then from there, he started working with this stuff. But I think he goes to one of those countries that you mentioned.
Oh, okay.
And he leads retreats, where people spend a week there or something, and they go through all that stuff. So do you feel that there's a future in this kind of stuff?
I think there's definitely a future in it. I think the more we turn the world into machinery, the more people are longing for connection, and I think these kinds of medicines help provide that for people.
You say machinery, you mean like AI or just computers or something?
Not even that. I mean, yes, computers and AI, but also just we turn everything into an object instead of looking for the mystery, and so I think that people need mystery. People long for mystery.
Right. Almost like a spiritual awakening or a search for something.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of meaning, you have a great book here, The Queen's Path,
yes.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
So you're taking a different take on archetypes as well, or symbols, for example.
Yep.
Now, we were having a talk, and you said you don't like the heroine idea too much. You like better the queen.
Yep.
Because I'm thinking of Wonder Woman.
Oh,
Is she a hero or a queen?
She's a queen.
A heroine. Okay.
She's a heroine.
So tell us the difference between that. The heroine or the queen?
So the heroine tends to find the hero's journey, and the hero's journey is not made for women because there's not a version of the hero's story that includes the structural problems or structural obstacles that women face. So women have to face things like having to worry about their sexual identity, like are they married or do they have children or do they not have children, and then having those options like of having to worry about that all the time and policing other people's behavior keeps you from being believed, right? Like nobody asked Jack Sparrow like if he's a good captain of his ship, but if he were a woman, they'd be like, do you really know how to sail that ship, right? That kind of stuff happens all the time in real women's lives, and so the archetypal story of the heroine when it follows the hero's journey or any of its derivatives don't account for that, and women. We know that we have to account for the ways in society that we have to overcome those structural impediments.
Now, women can give birth and be mothers. So how does all that fit into the heroine versus queen approach?
So the queen, a heroine can become a queen can become a heroine. But what happens is when we're little girls, we're put on a track to either be a perfect, pretty, passive princess or a wicked witch. And the Wicked Witch path is one that we can arrive on if we can't stay on the pretty princess path, right? So we fall off the princess path, we wind up on the Wicked Witch path. And you see this in story after story. You see it we were talking about the Bible earlier, right? Like, so Hadassah becomes Queen Esther. So Hadassah winds up, she is the dutiful, princess trying to help the king, and she becomes part of his coterie and becomes his confidant, and then she achieves sovereignty and frees herself and her people, right? A sovereign, a queen, she achieves because she creates something of herself regardless of the role she is given, and that's the difference.
Yeah, because you mentioned sovereignty, the crowning component. Now, I told you about Deborah, who was a judge in the Old Testament, who was a ruler, prophetess, and all this other stuff, which is very rare. There weren't that many.
Yeah.
But she was very fierce, but also very loving in some ways. But you talk about, I think, archetypes and stages. For example, you talk about the divided woman, the maiden in search of relationship, good girl.
Right.
And then you do talk about the magical, isolated, endangered one, I guess non-conforming. What do you call that one?
So the first one is called the Misor, the maiden in search of a relationship.
Okay.
And the second one is called the Mipe, magical, isolated, powerful, and endangered. So the Mipe is the Wicked Witch archetype, right? And the Misor is the pretty princess archetype. But the thing that I found in my research was that the archetypes of princess and wicked witch are too loaded. They carry too much meaning.
Right.
You can be a hero. You can be like the good girl and be the mipe. You can be you can be a mipe and be the good girl, right? If you watch a movie like Mean Girls, Caddy, the heroine of the story, is actually the Mipe. She's not a wicked witch. She's a good girl who becomes a bad girl. And the villain character in that movie, Regina George, is a Misor. She's the princess, but she's not nice. She's the bad
so they're
character.
Wearing a mask and they have other characteristics
Right,
or
and
something.
well, that's the archetype, right? Like, so we have these other archetypes that that follow us through culture, but they haven't been named as such. And I tried really hard to use archetypes that have been named already and couldn't figure them out until I decided to just take those characteristics and use anagrams for them, honestly.
Interesting. Okay. And then the other thing is the stages. They talk about the hunt, love and safety, and the crowning. I guess would be the ultimate queenness.
Yeah.
Is that right? Like she's owns herself and also her values in her life.
Yeah.
But then I asked you, how does that relate to men? I mean, can they get along with men in relationships?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. So number one, men can take the queen's path too. It's not just women. But a woman who's a queen, if you're going to have a male partner, that man has to be capable of being a king for you, with you, and not keep you in submission. But be your peer, be your equal, be sovereign with you.
Okay.
And I think that's where the happy or successful relationships really happen, when two people are in sovereignty together.
Right.
They
But
own themselves.
what if the man is a servant, maybe of the submissive energy? Is that a
He
good
can
combination?
still be a sovereign.
That could be a good combination.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's the balance? Because there's yin and yang energy, right? So
Sure.
maybe woman has more yang, man has more yin. Does that work out as well? But you're saying that you want two yangs at the same time, no?
No. What I'm saying is that two sovereigns don't need one another for permission or need somebody to show up for them in a submissive way. Like, just because a man has more yin energy doesn't mean that he's submissive. It might just mean that he doesn't feel the need to draw attention to himself or to conquer. He may just be more receptive in the sense of he wants to observe. I'm married to a man like that. Like but he's very masculine.
Is he more of a quieter kind of guy?
He's very quiet. He likes to read.
Hands-on personality.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's, if I've ever needed anything, if I've ever needed him to defend me in a physical situation, he is like right there. He's like, oh no, I've got this.
So you got the strong silent type. Maybe,
Yeah,
personality.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how would you classify yourself? I mean, the
I
Myers
hope I'm a
Briggs.
queen. Myers-Briggs. I am ENTJ. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the general, I call it the general, very powerfully minded person.
Try.
He's more of the ISTP, maybe the Constitution.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Kind of a little bit different, right? The complementary styles.
Definitely.
Because I wrote a book called Love Types on love relationships based on the Myers-Briggs types.
Awesome.
It's very interesting, the interaction. Because ENTJ, you said, right? Okay. But you seem to have a warm side, maybe through therapy, you developed the feeling side a little bit.
Yeah, I'm.
Because I know you're smiling, ENTJ would be a little more serious. Yeah? So.
That used to be me before I went through my own Queen's Path. Like I had this very
very serious,
intense, like career climbing kind of career. And,
I see.
And I got broken down on my own Queen's Path journey, and it.
It's fascinating. So you got so much knowledge here. Are you a Gemini by any chance?
I am.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous. June 13th. When's yours?
6.
All right. Cool.
So basically,
Week apart.
we're basically the very versatile, creative, different kind of people, right? Because I can write a book on love or on spirituality, or and you do the same, right?
Yep.
Queen's Path and mushrooms, right? So
Yep.
two different things. So what do you want people to get out of each book? For example, mushrooms. What's your goal there?
My goal for the mushroom book is really for people to feel safe and comfortable as this medicine starts to make it into the public consciousness, into the Gestalt of where we are. That it really gets that people aren't afraid of it. Like, they shouldn't be afraid of mushrooms, but they should treat them with respect, because the book it tells over and over again, don't go looking and trying to forage your own mushrooms and take them. Like, get them from a trusted source, because foraging is dangerous. But so I want people to not be afraid, and to see all the research that's being done. The book is chock full of research of what's happening at UCSF and UCSD, UCLA, Johns Hopkins.
So the use of plant medicine for transformation and knowledge and enlightenment.
Transformation knowledge, but also some of the research is being used for chronic pain, healing. And the most fascinating for me was the research in phantom limb pain. So UCSD's done this research that because we used to think that it was a hallucination when somebody had a limb amputated and they still had pain there.
Yes.
And what they learned through the research with the psilocybin is that actually the brain has a map of the body, and the reason that the phantom limb pain is happening is because the map hasn't been updated. And when they administer people psilocybin and help them learn the new body structure, they recover faster from the phantom limb pain because the brain learns the new map.
So to summarize, so enlightenment, transformation, healing,
yeah,
and understanding possibly.
Definitely.
Okay, so that's one thing. And now your Gemini brain went over here, right? Had to switch to a different component.
Yeah.
Are you left-handed or no?
I am ambidextrous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I learned.
So that's
I
interesting.
grew up playing piano.
Okay. So Queen's Path is another archetypal thing. So what's the message in this one?
That everyone deserves sovereignty, and sovereignty is a path available to anybody who wants it, but especially women right now need it more than ever. And that if we give ourselves permission to live in sovereignty, then everything can change.
What if you live in an environment where there is no sovereignty? Maybe some countries are oppressive, then how do you have internal sovereignty?
You have internal sovereignty. You know that the decisions that you're making for your safety, not because you have lots of options, right? So sovereignty can still be available to women. It's not the same, right? But because you do have real structural components that are keeping you from being free, but you can own yourself in yourself, and that makes all the difference.
Own yourself in yourself. I like that. So Tracy, this is fascinating. We can do this for a long time. I think. We should definitely get back together.
Indeed.
And continue. It's been a pleasure because you're offering a lot of wonderful advice, healing, and also knowledge at the same time.
Thank you.
And in Love University, our motto is to love yourself, others, and the higher nature in many areas. So, in some ways you're spreading love, because you want people to be happy, right?
Yeah.
To heal and to find the inner power, right?
Yeah.
Or the inner love.
The inner love.
Self-love is one of the lacking things we have.
Yeah.
And some of the authors I'm interviewing today, they said it took me 20 years to write a book because I didn't believe in myself. Or they're, they're in the wrong place, and and they've transformed it. So I'm glad that we met today.
I'm delighted we met.
So again, Dr. Avila with Love University. We're here at the USC Los Angeles Times Book Festival, having a great time, meeting great people. And again, the message is love yourself, others, and a higher nature. Until next time, this is Dr. Alex Avila. Put away your notebooks, your iPads, your phones. Class is now dismissed.
Thank you.